One criticism you hear a lot around the game is there's not enough hate. There's not enough hate anymore in hockey. These guys that hang out off the ice, and even during a game, you'll see them talking to each other and laughing with each other. What's that all about? This is a game that's supposed to be based on hate, fighting and punching and kicking, and maybe not the kicking, Zach Cassian. Stop it. So, with that in mind, the Las Vegas Golden Knights joined the league a few years ago. And, it's been quite the run the last few years, and it's been fun to watch. And yet, if you're a San Jose fan, likely a lot less fun. And if you're a Vegas fan, you see a San Jose logo next to yours, and you go, that's not right. Our logos are far too close. They're almost touching. That's not right. The logos are too close here, too. Space them out. Get a board for Vegas and a board for San Jose. We can't have those logos on the board at the same time. And as much as I'm using hyperbole here, and I'm joking around, I don't think there is a single rivalry in the NHL right now with more hate on and off the ice as this one. And I'm including all of them. And I'm including that as a YouTuber that any time that San Jose plays Vegas, I have to sort of take a deep breath and go, okay, we're going to do the review and the preview, and the comment section is going to be toxic. No matter what happens in this game, the comment section is going to be toxic. These fan bases absolutely hate each other. These teams absolutely hate each other. Now, in the regular season, there's not a lot to indicate this. Definitely out of the gate, November 24th, 2017, these teams met the first time. Vegas wins in overtime, 5-4. Only 12 penalty minutes in that game. I can only assume they won for Vegas reasons in that one. That was a phrase I came up with during the 2017-2018 season because Vegas won a bunch of games that I couldn't figure out how they won them. They'd get outplayed for 57 minutes. They'd have a good 3 minutes, and they'd win. And it happened a lot. And I was like, I don't know how sustainable this is. And then they got 109 points, and it turned out it was quite sustainable. So as sustainable as it was, at this point in November of 2017, we had no idea. And it was Legace in net. He gets pulled. Subban goes in, and Subban gets the win in overtime. Jones starts the game. He gets pulled. Dell goes in. Dell takes the overtime loss, even though Jones's numbers were worse than Dell's. So February 8th, 2018, they meet for the second time. Vegas wins again, 5-3. 18 penalty minutes in that game, and there were only 12 in the first meeting. There was no indication of how ugly this would get. And it was Marc-Andre Fleury against Jones. So Fleury's in the net. Everything's good. And Vegas is undefeated against San Jose. San Jose would get their first win March 22nd of 2018. San Jose wins that one 2-1. Jones over Subban. So Malcolm Subban takes the loss in that one. 16 total penalty minutes in that game. So 3 games, you got 46 penalty minutes between the 3 games. Not dirty games at all. No indication of how things are going to get. March 31st, 2018, Vegas beats San Jose for the third time in 4 games. They win 3-2. 30 penalty minutes in that game, but 20 of those penalty minutes belong to Marc-Edouard Vlasic. And Fleury and Jones play each other again. So it's Fleury and Jones twice. Technically, twice out of 4. Because you got Legace up here and Subban, and then you got Subban here against Jones. So that sets up the playoff matchup they have in round 2. After LA had failed to score goals, San Jose didn't fail to score goals as much, but still Marc-Andre Fleury had an excellent round, starting with Game 1, where it was a 7-0 victory for Vegas. So Game 1, 7-0, and it's 3-0 for Vegas 6.5 minutes into the first period. This game was over early. And so for San Jose, they had to shake it off. Jones saved 8 out of 13 before Dell replaced him. And, of course, Marc-Andre Fleury's at the other end of the rink. Game 2, San Jose wins that one in double overtime. And it feels like in overtime, for some reason, San Jose's better. Power play goal by Couture at 5:13. Fleury versus Jones. And, of course, there was some debate about the penalty that led to the power play for the San Jose Sharks in that playoff. But I felt like that was the first time during their inaugural season that Vegas faced real adversity. It was a 1-1 series now, and it felt like they hadn't really faced that adversity against the Kings. And throughout their first season, there wasn't any expectation. So it's not like if they had a few losses here and there that anybody made a big deal of it. They go, it's their first year. But at this stage in the playoffs, there was some belief maybe San Jose can expose something here. And so coming out of game 2, it felt like maybe there was a crack with Vegas and their facade. Game 3, Vegas wins 4-3. 3 power play goals scored by Vegas at 13:09 of the first period to make it 3-0. And so, yeah, they made it. Now San Jose got close, but Jones and Fleury were the goalies of record on this one, and Vegas does get the 4-3 win. So we go to game 4, and San Jose wins at 4-0. So San Jose again shows they're not going to go away. And things get physical at 18:08 of the third period. This is where you finally see one of those scrums. Things are getting kind of ugly. These teams don't like each other, and this is where that really becomes apparent, while the fan bases have been at each other as well. Fleury against Jones. Jones makes 34 saves for the shutout, and things get kind of nasty at the end of that game. So we go to game 5. Vegas wins that one 5-3. Vegas was ahead 4-0 at 8:36 of the third period. San Jose comes back, makes it close, but an empty netter makes it 5-3. Jones saved 27 out of 31. Arundel replaces him. One of the storylines with this battle between San Jose and Vegas is Vegas chasing Martin Jones out of the net. And Martin Jones, his numbers are kind of poor against Vegas in general. And sometimes I think to myself, I talk a lot about his save percentage, but if you take out the Vegas games. So they go to game 6. In game 6, Vegas gets the 3-0 shutout. Jones saved 30 out of 32 in that shutout loss. That was in San Jose. So Vegas wins on the road, and they escape that series in 6, and they move on to play the Winnipeg Jets, who they would beat with relative ease before when Washington said, I don't know why the West can't figure this out. We can. So their next regular season meeting is November 24th of 2018. Vegas wins that 6-0. Fleury against Dell in this game, and 64 penalty minutes, 26 of those go to Evander Kane. Evander Kane hates Vegas. Vegas, not a big fan of Evander Kane either. Of course, Evander Kane owes some money in Vegas. And Ryan Reeves and Evander Kane have had this thing going on for a while now. So January 10th, 2019, San Jose beats Vegas 3-2. Only 10 penalty minutes in that game. Jones against Fleury. So nice, relatively sedate game there. March 18th, 2019, only 26 penalty minutes in the game, but Vegas wins 7-3. So again, Vegas chases Jones. Dell goes into the net, and it's Subban that gets the win for Vegas. March 30th, 2019, San Jose beats Vegas in overtime 4-3. It's Jones against Subban. So Subban takes the loss there. 42 penalty minutes in that game, including a fight between William Carrier and Barclay Goodrow. So that ends out the regular season between these teams in the 2018-2019 season. And again, you'll notice the penalty minutes are much higher in year 2 than in year 1. And that's by design of a rivalry. This is how it works. Round 1. Here we go. Round 1. Game 1, San Jose wins 5-2. Kane and Reeves had a fight late in the third period, so they get into it. And Fleury was up against Jones, and Jones outdueled him. But in game 2, Jones gets pulled. Vegas wins at 5-3. There was a scrum at the end of the third period. These teams really not liking each other in that series. Fleury gets the win. Jones saves 4 out of 7. Dell goes in at 6 minutes and 11 seconds of the first period and takes the loss because he allowed the fourth goal. So, that's after game 2. Game 3, Vegas wins 6-3, and that's the game where Joe Thornton had the illegal check to the head. And we remember that. That's recent enough. We're in remembrance of that, and it was not a pretty one. That was a dirty hit. And so that became a big storyline. Kane and Reeves had an official fight in that one, so that's one where they both get 5 for fighting. And, Fleury against Jones in that one. Jones stayed in net for the whole 6 goals against. But again, the storyline is Jones can't stop Vegas. And it continues in Game 4. 5-0 Vegas in Game 4. Evander Kane takes 16 penalty minutes. Broken in that game. 16 penalty minutes overall. Fleury gets the win, the shutout. Jones saved 5 out of 7, and Dell went in after that. Not that it mattered. Now, they only had 7 shots in the first period, but Vegas was up 2-0 because that's kind of how things work between Vegas and San Jose. So they're up 3-1 Vegas, and this is what gets forgotten. We all talk a lot about what happened in Game 7, but they had a 3-1 series lead. They had 3 opportunities to knock San Jose out. Starting with Game 5 in San Jose. San Jose had home ice, which I think was big in this series as well. 5-2 win for San Jose and only 10 penalty minutes in that game. So Jones ends up kind of, making up for what had happened in the previous 3 games, where Vegas had scored a total of 16 goals in the previous 3 games. And I think part of what happened with Vegas was that they beat San Jose with relative ease. And I don't know that they let up. I don't know if that's what it was. I don't know if it was San Jose looked at those scores and said, hey, we need to be better. But whatever it was, San Jose turned it around. Game 6, and this to me, I know what happened in Game 7. We'll get there. I think Vegas lost this series in Game 6 for the same reason that I thought Vancouver lost the Stanley Cup final in Game 6 in Boston. Here they are at home. Now, for Vancouver, it was in Boston. They proved they couldn't win in Boston, and then they came back home for Game 7, and they just fell apart. In this situation, they have a power play in overtime. Power play in overtime for Vegas, and it is a shorthanded goal by Tomas Hertl that propels the Sharks to a Game 7. So the Game 7 situation is born from a double overtime shorthanded goal by Tomas Hertl. And I was floored when that was... As soon as Hertl had that break, I went, oh my God, this isn't going to happen. And then it did. So, again, Jones had a very good game in Vegas to make up for Games 3 and 4, where he didn't. And Marc-Andre Fleury was good, but again, we're going into a Game 7 situation. And that goal by Hertl was huge. If Vegas scores on that power play, they end it in 6. We don't have a Game 7 to talk about. If they had not come out and lost 5-2 in San Jose in Game 5, we don't have a Game 7 to talk about. But we go to Game 7 in San Jose. 3-0 lead for Vegas. The major penalty is called on Cody Eakin. And we've debated this now for a while. We've debated this for a while. And I remember that Game 7 review being one of the most watched videos ever and one of the biggest headaches I ever had because of the comment section being so toxic. And I really hope that now that we're in a situation where San Jose, it looks like they're going to some sort of a rebuild thing, hopefully things cool down. Because honestly, it was getting to be ridiculous. And after this game, this is ground zero. During the major penalty, San Jose scores 4 times to get a 4-3 lead. I was scared coming out of that because I'm like, holy crap. Now, first off, as a coach, you have to call a timeout. Gerard Gallant didn't call a timeout. I thought that was absolutely ridiculous. You've got a team, you had a 3-2 lead. You call the timeout when they've scored that second goal. You come up with some kind of a play, you come up with some kind of plan, or you just say, hey guys, cool down. It felt like Gallant's temper was up here, and it felt like all the Vegas players' tempers were up here too. I'm not going to argue whether or not that should have been a major. Once the major's called, you have 2 options, fold or kill it. And there's people who've thought I'm being an ass by saying Vegas had the opportunity to kill that power play. It was an option, but it is. And some teams rally around that call where they go, you know what, that shouldn't have been a call, and they killed the 5-minute power play. We've seen it. And I know during reviews this year, when I would see a 5-minute power play get killed off, I've been like, great. And if you kill it off really well, you're likely going to force the team with the power play to take a penalty themselves and then cut 2 minutes out of that 5-minute major. That's definitely happened plenty of times. Vegas scored to tie it and force overtime. And I remember thinking, okay, good. We're going to overtime in Game 7. Those 4 goals are in the rearview mirror. Vegas can come out in overtime, win it, silence the critics, and win the game. But when Barclay Goodrow scores that game winner in Game 7, and I thought, okay, so San Jose won it, but it wasn't a disputed goal by Goodrow. I had underestimated. I admit, I had underestimated the amount of vitriol that would still be there for that major. That, again, once Vegas tied it to make it 4-4, we're on our way to overtime. So in overtime, you see what happens. And overtime very often reveals the character of the team and reveals who wants it more. Very often, overtime, it feels like that's the team that wants it more. I know back in 94, when the Canucks came back from 3-1 down against the Calgary Flames. Each game 5, 6, and 7, Vancouver won in overtime, and it just felt like they wanted it more. Vegas had a 3-1 series lead in this one. All anybody talks about is Game 7. All anybody talks about is Game 7 and the major penalty. I've got a t-shirt that was sent to me by a Sharks fan in regards to it. That major overshadows the fact that Vegas blew a 3-1 series lead. That they had a team that they had absolutely destroyed the previous 3 games. They just couldn't put away. And that their penalty kill, when they really desperately needed it, really let them down. I understand why people get that salty about it. But again, for me, the storyline wasn't the major as much as it was the penalty kill that just was ineffective. And once San Jose got that first goal, and it was 3-1, I went, oh crap. Because it was immediately after that 5-minute major took place that they scored that first one. I was like, oh crap, they've got to turn this around. San Jose was fired up, and Vegas was angry. And the fact that one team was really fired up and determined to come back, and the other one seemed to be almost distracted from doing what they had to do to protect their lead, it just all comes together. So coming out of that, and that vitriol and that hate between the fan bases, between the teams that's still there, we go to a preseason game that's not on the board where Evander Kane gets himself suspended. And he gets himself suspended, and we go into back-to-backs to start the season without Evander Kane, and it felt like that was probably the right decision to keep Evander Kane away from Vegas for a while. So October 2nd, I have these backwards, I apologize for that, but October 2nd, I'll cover them in order. Vegas wins 4-1. Fleury versus Jones, only 18 penalty minutes in that one. Now, again, no Evander Kane in that one. 2 days later, they play again. 5-1 win this time for Vegas. Fleury versus Jones, again. 76 penalty minutes in that game. That game kind of sort of got ugly, and that was minus Evander Kane. But again, the comment section after that game, So, 2 games in 3 days between these teams, and the hate that was coming out of that second back-to-back, considering they'd already played each other in the preseason, it was palpable. So they go about a month in between games. In November 21st, 2019, San Jose beats Vegas in overtime 2-1. It's Dell versus Fleury, so this is where Aaron Dell's getting some more starts. Only 10 penalty minutes, and Evander Kane played that game and had none. So Evander Kane keeps his head about him, and San Jose wins the game 2-1. December 22nd, 2019, their most recent meeting, Vegas wins 3-1 over San Jose. It was Subban against Dell. There's only 20 penalty minutes in that game, and Evander Kane got 4 penalty minutes in that game. So again, he keeps his head about him. Even though he was quite angry about being suspended for those games at the start of the year, he kept his head about him when he was playing against them. And I was very grateful that this was the last time these teams would play each other during the regular season, because again, every time San Jose plays Vegas, something happens with the fan bases, and I honestly hope this cools down at least a little, because there have been times where it's just felt like it's ridiculous. And you know, I say that as a fan of Boston, that I've never said any of the things about Montreal that I've seen some Vegas fans say about San Jose and San Jose say about Las Vegas. Because it feels like a good rivalry, you do have that healthy respect. And with this rivalry, it feels like that healthy respect isn't quite as healthy. And so it's a lot uglier of a rivalry than some of the others. And some people may really enjoy that. If you're a Flames fan, you may love this. If you're an Oilers fan, you may love this. Kings, Ducks, Canucks, you may look as a Pacific Division rival at these teams beating the hell out of each other and say, yeah, you guys should punch each other some more. That's a great idea. Everybody punch each other. But, you know, it is a rivalry that, as hot as it's been, I do kind of hope it settles down. And maybe with San Jose being lower down in the standings and going through what they're going through right now, maybe that settles things down for a couple of seasons, or maybe not. Maybe when we get back to playing hockey in the regular season, I would think this upcoming season, if we have one, and I'm being honest, if we have a regular season that is regular in any manner, I hope when we see these teams against each other, some of that hate sort of kind of falls away. I'm not talking about the rivalry in general. Just it feels like it's been toxic. But I'd be interested to know what you guys think in the comments section below, which, again, I expect to be somewhat colorful. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I am wearing Vegas because Vegas has been the better team of the two for the most part. When they've beaten San Jose, it's usually been an absolute slaughter. And, I think it's a psychological thing for Martin Jones. I think it's a psychological thing for the Sharks as well. When the games are close and they keep things close, they do have a good chance. But if Vegas gets that early goal in the first period, it's probably over. And it's something that San Jose definitely has had a problem with throughout with Vegas. But I'd be interested to know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.